Hey everybody, it's about 11 o'clock. It's the 25th day of January 2021. 2022, wow. 55 degrees and sunny with a high surf warning and a high wind warning and definitely an allergy warning because, So it's time to do another list. We love these lists. This list comes to us from Dicebreaker, Board Games for Everyone. And it's 8 tabletop RPGs to play after finishing The Expanse. This comes to us from Best Games. It was written today. And I guess it's okay, you've watched all the seasons of The Expanse on Amazon Prime, and now you want a role-playing game that captures the feeling of The Expanse. The Expanse has sadly come to an end, maybe. It's lived its second life. Its first life was on Sci-Fi, got canceled. Amazon bought it. Lived its second life on Amazon, but now it's been canceled. Will The Expanse live a third life? Of course, The Expanse TV show is based upon the Expanse books. So, we have a list of games you could play that to capture the feeling of The Expanse. The first is Scum and Villainy. And this is a game published by Evil Hat and designed by Stars Acimovox, Acimovic, and John LeBouf. It uses the Forged in the Dark / Blades in the Dark system to play out, a Star Wars Scum and Villainy, Wretched Hive of Scum and Villainy, of course, a reference to Mos Eisley's mercenary pirates type of thing. Then we have Stars Without Number, which has got, a great random generation system for planets. I used it for my space game that I ran. As a role-playing game, it's okay. As just a world-building guide to build a space universe, it's excellent. I highly recommend Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Numbers. Even if you don't use the actual game, the tables and the ideas are the best. Again, so Stars Without Number is another idea about exploring space and stuff like that. We have Coriolis from Free League. Coriolis is a very interesting game. It uses the Year Zero. It's set in a universe inspired by what was it? Max over at Legion of Myth did a really good review of this game and the feel of this game. It's definitely an interesting take on space. Arabian Nights, yeah, sort of inspired by Arabian Nights. That was it. So if you're a fan of the Free League games, you're a fan of Year Zero system, I've been told this is an excellent space game. So yeah, Coriolis is another idea of, here's a game where you can just play freebooters and looters and pirates and mercenaries, and you don't really have to be tied to any faction, but there are factions and there's a whole line of politics going on. The big thing about The Expanse was the politics and the factions and, these characters sort of being trapped in between the factions and how they keep getting tied into these factions and the politics, whether they want to or not, and sort of have the, the burden of heroship and leadership placed on them, whether they're not really cool. And you had all these factions and inter-conflicts with the factions and the new factions. So here's another one that captures that feel. Then we have, of course, Traveler, 2nd edition from Mongoose. If you want to find out more about Traveler, head on over to Shoulder Films. He does a whole bunch of stuff on Traveler. He's probably the best resource for Traveler stuff. Traveler, one of the first, if not the first, science fiction role-playing games ever made, way back in the late 70s. And again, this is a very human-centric, lots of factions, lots of politics. Traveler's famous for, you could have random characters generate and they could die in the character generation before you ever actually get a chance to play them. And again, just, open space, very running theme is sort of hard sci-fi. So as opposed to like Star Wars and Star Trek, which are almost magic sci-fi, this is much more like as realistic as science fiction can get. Traveler, of course, being one of the very, very first. Mothership is another one. The Mothership is more, outer space horror. And of course, the ideas of the physical limitations of space, the horror of space, the emptiness of space, the aliens being truly aliens, the body horror of space. Mothership received a lot of great press last year. A lot of games were using the Mothership system to tell these sort of alien-esque, the dark of space type of stories. And now we have the Mothership box set coming out as one of the most anticipated role-playing games of the year. So yeah, obviously Mothership is a great game. Another one they recommend is Starforge from Ironsworn. Ironsworn is a great game that's known for being a solo RPG system. This one takes the ideas from Ironsworn, which is basically fantasy solo, and moves it into outer space. We have another one called The Wretched. This is another solo journaling RPG, The Wretched. Again, the game uses a Jenga tower to represent the cascading failure of spaceship systems and a deck of cards to prompt a narrative of confronting disaster, understanding its cause, and then struggling to survive the aftermath. And the solo journaling RPG. I don't know what a journaling RPG is, but okay. We have another one called Space Between the Stars. This one is an interstellar RPG that comes to us from Collaborative RPG. You can find it on itch.io. This is another one that plays out like Wretched, dark of space. The only thing that holds you together is the family you make up on your ship, and space is trying to kill you. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that this gentleman recommends that if you want to play a game that encapsulates the feelings of the Expanse television show, the politics, the quasi-realistic technology, the factions. There's not really a lot of aliens. There was like one alien race in the expansion, and you're never quite sure what they are, the proto-molecule. But the main thing were just the different fightings and the different control of the different planets and the different orbits and just how big space is and how terrifying space is. This gentleman recommends any one of these games. All right, so I'm going to give you a second to think about this list. Think about the Expanse TV show, the Expanse books, and then tell me what's missing from this list. Here's a list of all these games this guy thinks captures the feeling of the Expanse. But there's one game missing. Can you guess what it is? It's the Expanse role-playing game from Green Ronin. The Expanse role-playing game is available over the Green Ronin. It's $40 for the core rules. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supplements for it, including the dice and the cards. It has been out for at least a year. Written by the people who, I guess, had something to do with the Expanse. If you understand the weird history of the Expanse, you have to remember, the Expanse started as a role-playing game, then went to become a online MMO. That MMO failed. The guys who created the MMO started to write books set in the universe of the MMO, and those books became the Expanse television show. The Expanse television show then led to the Expanse role-playing game. So what a strange, weird world. But yes, there is, in fact, an Expanse role-playing game. It uses the age system. Some people say that the age system or the modern age works much better than the fantasy age system. And, here is an official The Expanse role-playing game. If anything's going to capture the feelings of the Expanse, it's probably the Expanse role-playing game that's supposedly written by, or at least some input from the actual creators of the Expanse books, TV show. So yeah, why is it that nowhere on your 8 list published today did you not know that there was an actual Expanse role-playing game, or do you just not feel the Expanse role-playing game captures the feeling of the Expanse? And if you don't, why would you go for something like Mothership or Coriolis, which both sort of completely different than the Expanse, but still just that general, I guess, feel of just space is awful. So yeah, here we have a list. And of course, the thing I'm going to poke holes in the list is, Coriolis and Mothership, definitely not really the Expanse. Scum and Villainy, more Cowboy Bebop, Star Wars, Firefly than the Expanse. And why is it you don't have the actual Expanse role-playing game on this list? Anyway, there's a link down below if you want to check out Shoner talking about Mongoose Traveler, because he's the best I know in talking about it. And if you want to hear Max from Legion of Myth review Coriolis, there's a link down below also. So yeah, any of these space games inspire you to play the Expanse? Do you even know what the Expanse is? Are you like me and you're confused that there's no actual mention of the Expanse role-playing game on this list of role-playing games that capture the feeling of the Expanse? Do you even care? Let me know. Till next time, back to me, I'm in space!